We are happy to announce the launch of our new logo. We have evolved since our incorporation in 1997, and it is time to refresh our new look to reflect who we are today. Before I reveal our new look, however, walk with me while I take you through our journey of the last 25 years. Trust Bank was incorporated on July 3rd, 1997 and began operations on October 1st, 1997. Following the collapse of the parent company of its predecessor, Meridian, the CBG stepped in and recapitalized the bank and held the shares in trust, thus the name Trust Bank. In 1999, the first investors who responded to the IPO and paid $1.50 per share received their maiden dividend of 50 bututs per share. In 2000, the bank fully paid back its investment by declaring another dividend of $1.20 bututs per share, making it a cumulative dividend per share of $1.70, which was 20 bututs above the purchase price. Between 2002 to date, share capital has increased from $27 million to $200 million, indicating that the bank has grown organically by plowing back profits to increase capital, while at the same time paying dividends to shareholders. The bank was listed on the Ghana Stock Exchange in November 2002, being the first ever cross-border listing in the sub-region. Now let's talk about awards. The bank was awarded the insignia of the National Order of the Republic of the Gambia, ORG, in the year 2010 by His Excellency the President of the Republic of the Gambia. During the past years, the bank has received so many national and international awards. Banker Magazine, 6 times. Global Finance, 6 times. Gambia Chamber of Commerce and Industry, 5 times. We began operations with 3 branches. Now, we have 18 branches and 20 ATMs and counting. On digital services, mobile app, check. Online banking, check. Transaction alerts, check. Watch this space. We've got more coming. Creating employment, yes, we've got that too. 400 and counting. And we take great care of our people too. Medical insurance, life insurance, private and state pensions, annual pilgrimages for both Muslims and Christians, training, yes, we do them all. One team, one family, one goal. That's the Trust Bank spirit. On corporate social responsibility, we have spent over $50 million in various causes. We care, and so we share. Over the years, we have paid over $1.6 billion to our shareholders, which translates to a whopping $20 per share and counting. Phenomenal returns for our shareholders who purchased at $1.50. Corporate taxes, over $1 billion is paid. Our journey started with a vision to create the kind of company that delivers quality services and innovative products with an inspired team dedicated to serving our customers, our environment, and our communities at large in the most caring manner. We remain fully committed to delivering excellent services to each of our stakeholders, customers, employees, shareholders, and partners. So, we remain true to who we have always been. As we look forward to greater achievements, we are rebranding to reflect who we are today and the future that we inspire. Our new logo has been designed to visually demonstrate our Gambian heritage and the sophisticated nature of the bank. We are moving away from the navy and gold-colored parallelogram-shaped logo to our baobab tree with a rising sun in the background. The striking outline of a baobab tree at sunrise is a familiar sight to anyone who has spent time in the Gambia. Our new logo and visual identity are inspired by our core values and spirit of being a pioneer in providing a unique banking experience. It is a completely new look that better matches the transformation we have made as a company. But we remain your Trust Bank. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my singular honor to present to you our new logo and corporate identity.
fay lempo warugal la si képp koo xam ne doomi réew mi nga ak ñu fi dëkk bu fekkee ne ci at mi sa koom-koom weesu na $2,400 dalasi mbete weer bu nekk di nga am lu tollu si $2,000 dalasi lempo si la nguur gi di sukkandiku ngir liggéey yokkute réew mi GRA mooy banxaas bu nguuri Gambia sas ngir mu fayeku lépp luy lempo ci biir réew mi ba tax na GRA di yëgal faykati lempo yi ne warugar la pour ñu fay lu ñu naan withholding tax on contract payment maanaam bépp contract bu waay joxe te si biir réew mi la ñu toog kon xaalisi contract bi ngeen nangotoo war nga cee wàññi ci xayma téeméer bu nekk fukka bu fekkee ne contracto bi dëkkut ci biir réew mi bu boobaa di nga war a wàññi téeméer bu nekk fukka ak juróom lii mooy lempo bu ñu naan withholding tax on contract payment lii mooy lempo bi nga xam ne yow mi joxe contract warugal la nga wëlbatiku dem fay ko ci maakaani GRA tax office bu la gën a jege mbete ci banque yi GRA jagleel pour fay lempo war ngaa jébal lempo bi si diiri fukki fan ak juróom gannaaw bi nga wàññee ci xaalisi contract bi amul benn contracto bu ñu teggil fay lempo bi xanaa mu fekk ne nguuri Gambia ñoo ko jégale boole si projet yi nga xam ne mbootaay ndimbali ñoo koy dépense GRA di fayeku lempo ngir yokk.
For the first time in the history of the Gambia, Gambia Printing Publishing Corporation proudly introduces the Biliomatic exercise book printing machine. The machine has the capacity to print more than 20,000 books per hour. Yes, 20,000 books per hour. It also prints magazines, newspapers, calendars, flyers, normal books and all kinds of printed documents plus items at affordable prices. With the Biliomatic printing machine, GPPC can now render high quality and non-size restricted printing service supply across the sub-region. Rush now and partner with GPPC for all your public and private printing service needs. Print with us today and you'd be offered highly professional, reliable and efficient service delivery by our team of experts. The Gambia Printing and Publishing Corporation is here to meet all demands and is reliable at all times. For more info, contact us on 437-4493 or 437-4402. GPPC is Gambian and it's yours.
This season on Kerr Fatou.
The reason I have always called for a national dialogue is because a government must be responsive to the needs of its people.
Fatou.
Tell you one thing, if me as an individual, if I know that there is somebody that I definitely wrong, I will be bold enough, I will go to the person, I will appeal to him and apologize him.
I have to make decision today because I don't make decisions lightly. I investigate, I do my research, I get the facts, I call the experts, I summon meetings, I get the technicians, then I reflect and I make a decision.
Why did you lose the election?
Well, we lost the election because of kidnap registration. We had evidence of people being registered before the opening of the registration.
Welcome to another edition of our show. It's another Thursday, and this is the second Thursday of the Ramadan. And today I'm here with the Serekunda, and we'll be looking at how Ramadan is going on at the National Assembly, but we'll also look at what is happening in the sub-region. Of course, Esther will join us in a minute. I'm here with Hon Madi Ceesay of Serekunda. Madi, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Fatou. It's my pleasure to be on the platform once again.
How is Ramadan going with you?
Well, very fine. You know, for us as Serekunda, we are the Moros. So for us, Ramadan is every day. So it doesn't change anything in our lives.
Really?
At all. No, not at all.
So today we'll be looking at all the things that have been happening at the National Assembly.
Okay.
The anti-corruption bill, the torture bill, the legal, what is it?
Mutual legal assistance.
Mutual legal assistance bill, and also the
Local Government Amendment Act.
Local Government Amendment Bill. But first, I want us to look at what is happening in our neighboring country, Senegal. I've always said this on the show. Senegal bu tisole Gambia yeko, Gambia bu tisole Senegal yeko. And we have addressed the Senegalese situation in our show before. The Senegalese opposition, Ousmane Sonko, who has been going through some legal issues, and a lot of people believe the state is getting involved in it. And today, his defamation case against the minister proceeded in court. Last time, what happened was he was supposed to go to court, and he was attacked on the way, and he was tear gassed. He ended up being at the hospital. His lawyer was flown out of the country, and the case was adjourned to the 30th. Today, this morning, the case resumed at the High Court in Dakar. What happened was both Ousmane and Mambay Niang all retained more lawyers because this was a very high-profile case. Ousmane was able to retain Joan Franco. I think his name is Joan Franco. He's a very reputable lawyer, Spanish-French lawyer, who has represented so many high-profile people. He was supposed to be in Dakar last night. When he got to Dakar, he was sent back to Paris on the same flight. He was sent back for no reason was given actually. But Mambay Niang's lawyer, who is also a French citizen, came and he was in court today. Now last night also, Ousmane, one of his lawyers who resides in the Gambia, in Senegal, sorry, was also suspended by the Bar Association. So a lot of people are looking at it. Okay, 24 hours to his case. His lawyer suspended. His other lawyer arriving and he was expelled from the country. His house was barricaded from last night. Yesterday, his supporters were having a manifestation and other opposition. There were tear gas. Some were taken to a hospital. Other people were arrested. His communication person, all of them have bracelets on their feet because for reasons that nobody can even explain. Now, today, the judgment came and he was sentenced to 2 months in prison with 200 million CFA. I don't know, have you been following the case? What is your reaction to, it seems like a lot of people are saying, we said it here with Esa the other time, when oppositions go through stuff like this in Africa, the ECOWAS and other communities, they just stay silent. Now what we have seen is this, the young people are burning. Today there was no economic activity in Dakar just because of a defamation case. Is that the way to run things in any democracy?
It is really very unfortunate, Fatou, because if you look at the case of Ousmane Sonko and the role the state is playing, it clearly shows that there's a lot of injustice there. Because like as recent as yesterday, like you just said, if his lawyer, who is a French national, could be deported from or refuse entry to Senegal,
sent back on the same flight,
and has to go back on the same flight, and then you have his Senegalese lawyer, who is also suspended or expelled from by the Bar Association. That makes things very funny. On the side of refusing the lawyer that is coming from France, I can know that is 100% state manipulated. But then the Bar Association, I believe it's a composition of independent lawyers. I cannot understand how that can happen. They may have based that on very tangible reasons. But the role the state is playing, as far as this case is concerned, is scaring. Because, like you said, what is happening there now is like chaotic. And nobody knows whether that's going to end now or it's going to proceed. And if it proceeds, what is going to be the effect on the neighboring country? And Senegal has only Gambia has only one neighbor, which is Senegal. So, and we are surrounded by Senegal on all sides except the ozone. If they should be in flames, the Gambia also will take its bit of that flame. I think really the international bodies, particularly the ECOWAS bloc, are not very good in acting before things get out of hand. Now should have been the time for ECOWAS to intervene in terms of negotiating to see to it that there is justice. And once there is justice, there will be peace. And if at that level, ECOWAS is not acting, I see nothing wrong with individual political leaders. For example, we take the case of the Gambia. I see nothing wrong when Hussein Dabo, who is the leader of one of the biggest political parties in the Gambia, and could take the lead of negotiating. I'm not saying go and show solidarity with Sonko, but as president in waiting, he could also take the step, dynamic step, go to Senegal and try to negotiate. These are things that could have helped a lot. If other countries do the same, like Guinea can do it, both Conakry and Bissau, Mauritania can do it. But if we want to leave things like this, it's scary.
Well, people are saying, will even Maki listen to any of these local other leaders when he's not listening to even their own people? A lot of people are saying the last when Sonko was arrested for the Adisar case, and the whole country, 14 people died. It was the religious leaders who intervened, and people say Maki Tegal leave Akote. A lot of people believe it's because Sonko wants a third term. Maki wants a third term. In fact, in an interview recently this month, a week ago, he said he knows he's eligible to run for a third term, which the constitution of Senegal, other people say it's not true. But Maki said openly in an interview, he said he knows he's eligible and that his people want him to run. He doesn't know whether he will or not, but he knows he's eligible. Now, people are saying the reason why all of these manipulations, all of these issues that are happening with Sonko is because he wants to run for a third term. He believes Sonko is his biggest opponent. Remember, Karim Wad is eliminated judicially. Halifa Sallah cannot run because he's also been condemned by the law. He cannot run unless they both have presidential pardon. And that it can only come from him. Now, all of these things, people are saying the only viable opponent to him is
Sonko. Yes.
That's why they're trying to eliminate him. Now, my question, I bet, is who else can intervene in this? Because if you talk to Maki will say, Luabila, I'm not going to intervene in any legal issues. But again, we all know how African leaders intervene. A procurator came recently to say how Maki Alundoi said it on live television, how Maki called him into his office in the presence of the current Minister of Interior to say, I don't want you to touch this particular person in the CRE, when he was the procurator. So all of those things, sometimes they interfere in cases. But who do you think at this point, what should be the solution? Because Senegalese problem is Gambian problem as well.
Yeah, that's why I said we must not leave it to Senegalese alone. The fact that some people in Senegal spoke to Maki and he would not listen to them, outside intervention. And when I say outside intervention, I'm looking immediately at the ECOWAS community as a bloc, whether from the leadership of the president. I think who is the president of the ECOWAS community? The community of ECOWAS, the chairmanship.
The chairmanship was, I don't know about him.
Currently, the president of
ECOWAS.
The Gambian
guy, Omar Toure, is the president of the commission.
No, that is coming. I mean the political grouping, that is ECOWAS, the chairperson is usually a president. It do rotates. I know he was one time.
He was he was the leader of the AU.
He was the president of the AU.
Just up to
So what I'm suggesting now is one of the current leader of ECOWAS, chairman of ECOWAS, should take this up, like they did in the case of Gambia. We've seen when there was that impasse in the Gambia, even though the cases are different, but it's all crisis. When that crisis happened, we have seen the intervention of ECOWAS, leaders coming in, negotiating with the outgoing president and incoming president.
They said it's Mbalo, the Guinean president.
Yes, so I think it's high time that Mbalo takes up that responsibility as chair of the community. If one country in the ECOWAS community is inflamed, it is affecting the entire ECOWAS community. So, but most of the time they will sit until when it gets to the worst stage.
And they issue statements.
Issue statement. I think that for me, my take is there need to be an outside intervention, even though Senegalese themselves are trying, but I think Maki needs an outsider to talk to him. He has taken it upon himself and flew all the way to Russia and want to negotiate peace. So if a similar thing is happening in his country, I think there is nothing wrong with our ECOWAS community or individual political party leaders intervene. Because if this problem escalates higher than where it is, we will all suffer, especially the Gambia. We are right inside Senegal. Whatever affects Senegal will affect us directly, not even indirectly. Yeah.
No, Esa, now, I see a lot of people saying, for a country that helped us lead, fight through the international community when we had our impasse, it was Senegal that took that bold step and went to the United Nations and to chart Gambia's cause. And Macky, a lot of us hailed because, and I think that's why you see a lot of sympathy from Gambians towards him because, you know, he was there for Gambia when we needed him, when there was a crisis. But again, and Senegal, I think the lone country that never went through a coup d'etat, if I'm not in
West Africa, yes.
In the sub-region.
Yes.
They never went through a coup d'etat.
Not at
and
all.
People said this is a very democratic country. People are free to speak. People are free to express themselves. But that has changed recently. Right now, the last protest that happened in Senegal, over 500 militants of the PASTEF group are in jail right now. Now, recently, what they have started, mayors, recently what they have started doing is, when they arrest high-profile people from PASTEF, they put electrical, how do you call it, the monitoring track on their feet. They cannot leave a certain region. That's what they've been doing recently, last week, to their spokesperson and other leaders of the party. And we have seen what happened to Usman. He was tear gas, he was in the hospital. Now his lawyers, deported from the country upon arrival, and today the verdict came. A lot of people are saying, what does this mean for democracy in the sub-region, most especially for Senegal?
Well, before getting into that, Macky Sall, a very cunning politician. Anyway, when a lot of people say, Macky intervened in the Gambia to help the Gambia, I always say, I don't think Macky will do that for free. I mean, obviously he has interest, and no wonder. We saw in the papers today, in the Standard newspaper, the Minister of Defense asking Senegal to respect the Gambia's sovereignty. I think that was said in Parliament yesterday. And I mean, essentially, I'm coming to that. But I mean, the reason I'm bringing this is for people to say, I mean, Macky helped Gambia. I don't really think it was just for free for him to come and help the Gambia. He also had interest. This is international politics. And they have their strategic interest in the Gambia. And Macky saw a long time ago what would have happened if Jammeh would stay in this country. And exactly that is what we are seeing. To the extent the government itself is aware that Senegal really has a vested interest in the Gambia, and to the extent of calling them to respect the Gambia's sovereignty. I think that is something that is really well in the context of Senegalese intervention in the Gambia during the political impasse. But just getting to the issue, I think it's really unfortunate. We have talked about this the other time here, and we'll keep on repeating it. What is really happening in Senegal is unfortunate. Senegal being seen as one of the beacons of hope when it comes to democracy, and of course even after independence, shortly after independence, we wouldn't call Senegal a multi-party democracy, but after that, coming to the Diouf era, Senegal and other countries, of course, the Gambia and Botswana and Mauritius, they were credited for being, one of the longest surviving multi-party democracies at a time when most African countries were one-party states, and of course, especially in the context of the post-Cold War era. But it's really unfortunate. Like we said, Macky, of course, just a few weeks ago was when he returned the leadership of African Union. And having him being described then as a Democrat in Senegal that everybody will look up to as a country that can really welcome a lot of other African countries that are into dictatorship. These things are happening there is unfortunate. I think this is a threat to political freedom or political liberalism, one would call it. Because certainly, of course, Macky knows that the biggest threat to him is right now Usman Sonko. And like you said, this is the norm in African politics when our politicians will try to see how they can eliminate either legally or tactically. They try to use tactics to eliminate their political opponents. I think it's really unfortunate. But like you said, it is the responsibility of the international community, especially in the sub-region like ECOWAS, and of course the leadership. I mean, sometimes I understand that these can be internal issues that if you want to intervene to a certain extent, it will infringe on what we call state sovereignty. Yes, that is there, but at some point also, there's what we call early warning system. Even in the ECOWAS system, they have what we call early warning. And that early warning is to tell signs or send signals and signs to the ECOWAS leadership, that there's something happening. I'm sure what is happening in Senegal, the ECOWAS early warning system, they have their conflict monitors. They have them in the Gambia, they have them in Senegal, they have them in all the member countries of ECOWAS. I'm quite sure that the conflict monitors in Senegal, some of them I know, will be reporting these issues to the ECOWAS early warning system. So ECOWAS is getting all this information that these are things that are happening and they could ignite conflict. Yeah. But what are they doing at the end of the day? They will just gather this data. It's with them, all the things that are happening in the ECOWAS region. Let me tell you, ECOWAS is on top of everything. Everything that happens in the Gambia, they're on top of it. Everything that happens in Nigeria, in Senegal, they're on top of everything. They know it. But how will they act? In what circumstance? I think they pick and choose. They're selective in which circumstances to act because, they will hide under this like it's an internal matter. But you could also say that, even during the elections in the Gambia, the impasse, even though it was clear to a lot of us that, the coalition won the election 2016, but one could also say that, Jammeh had the right to contest the elections in the court, the election results in court. Yeah. So ECOWAS could have also stated, it's an internal matter. Let's allow them to resolve it. They have a legal system. Yeah. But the reason why they intervene is also, one, they look at the circumstance, the situation, especially in the context of peace and stability. Yes, Gambians voted. There was no ample evidence or concrete evidence to show that really the IEC there was fraud or whatever, because there was no evidence. And also they look at it in the context of the security and stability of the sub-region. If there has to be instability in the Gambia, it will affect or further affect the instability in Casamance. It will spread in the sub-region. That was the reason why they intervened. So even if what is happening in Senegal might be an internal affair or whatever, yes, it might be a political issue, but I think at some point it's important that ECOWAS try to get these people and their tools to let them know that some of their actions that might be tactical to see how to eliminate political and endanger stability.
At what stage should the international community come in when hundreds of people are killed? Because the reason why I ask this question is that when coup d'etats are even announced without anybody dying, ECOWAS comes in and issues statements and condemn and condemn and condemn. Because it's one of them, one of their co-leaders, one of the leaders. But when people go out, for example, the Usman Sonko first protest, 14 souls were killed. ECOWAS did not even write to demand for any investigation into that case. Last court case, I think 3 people died, right? You count all of this, it's almost close to 20 people. And still the violence is going on. Businesses are being burned down. People are burning infrastructure that was built by the state. At one point, and you're seeing opposition leaders are denied access to their place. At what point?
I think this
what is the limitation?
Not certainly any limitation like what we call threshold.
What threshold? Yeah.
But I think at some point this is where the role of human rights groups also come in. Amnesty International, I think a few days ago or a week ago, they issued a statement concerning the right violations that are happening, especially when it comes to the killings that happen in this. So when right violations take place, it is the moral responsibility of human rights groups and even the international community, like ECOWAS, of course, has the moral responsibility to condemn such killings. When rights are being violated, especially where lives are taken. And this is what is happening exactly in Senegal. So I think even if ECOWAS may not necessarily be able to intervene as some people will expect, but I think when these things happen, right violations take place, when lives are taken, especially, by, of course, the political leadership, I think it is important that ECOWAS I think they need to also change their modes of operandi. They need to really change the way they work, because these are things that are raised. I remember when we went to both Ghana and Senegal, Dakar, for this ECOWAS early warning, training. These are things that we raised to some of them. But even the case of the Gambia 2016, I remember this was November 2016 when we went there, and Gambians were supposed to go to the polls in December. But when we raised some of these issues, that look, we are not seeing ECOWAS being very active. We are not seeing them being proactive. They are rather reactive to situations. And what we want is like what is happening in the Gambia at the time. we were scared that anything, because then the leadership of the UDP, his party, were in jail, and we knew all what was happening. But when we told them, some of them, what they would raise is that, look, I mean, we know these are things that are happening, but at some point also we have a limit. We have a line that we can stop at. We can't go beyond that. But these are situations that you yourselves will have to change for yourself. But mind you, also, the civilians are powerless. They don't have access to weapons. It's the state that has access to weapons. And we don't want a situation where civilians will be forced to have access to weapons. When that happens, then the stability of the country is prepared. So at some point when you raise this, and these are excuses they will take. But for me, even if they cannot intervene in certain aspects, but I mean, raising concerns, especially when there are right violations, raising concerns even to the political leadership when the political rights of people are being curtailed. For example, Sonko, being a politician, he wants to go to court. You barricade his compound, you denying him access to certain places. This is not, for me, the responsibility of only human rights organizations like Amnesty International and Human Rights Watch, because these organizations also have a limited role. What they can do is to report some of these right violations, but they don't have powers to enforce anything. They just report them for the international community to see, for the relevant authorities to see, and then take action. So ECOWAS and other bodies could also step in this regard to see how best they can talk to the political leadership so that these problems can be addressed.
In fact, that's where I said, and that's where I will repeat again, is when we say ECOWAS intervention, you know, we're not saying that they go in with arms.
Yeah. Yes, certainly.
Yeah, we said let them go because it is just beginning, and we have seen signs of crisis. Let the leadership of ECOWAS send a powerful delegation into Senegal, talk to both sides. This is what we want them to do. If it goes beyond that, then that's another thing. And I don't think there can be anything like that kind of mission cannot be really say, you cannot say I cannot do that because it's an internal thing. No, you only intervene in internal things when they are in crisis. You can intervene by way of negotiating. You want to have peace. Senegalese want peace.
That's preventive diplomacy.
Yeah, so that I see no reason why they cannot do that. If they don't do that, then they are failing. And I'm saying by extension also, if ECOWAS as a body cannot do that, let individual political organizations in the countries take it upon themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, any kind of intervention as far as it's geared towards bringing peace in Senegal should be welcome.
Yeah, just like what they're saying. I mean, that's preventive diplomacy. And of course, the former UN Secretary General was the one who came with this idea. And it's been welcomed by the international community. And it's been successful in instances. But I think the reason why many conflicts will escalate, even non-violent conflict would escalate into violent conflict, is because of the failure of preventive diplomacy. When this is not being effectively utilized by the relevant authorities, it leads to chaos. And I think that is what is happening in Senegal. Unfortunately, I'm not seeing Macky at any point, relaxing about this issue. All that I'm seeing is he's going all out, because when I saw the report, of course, on your status again, the news feed for me, I mean, it's like, if Sonko should have been, I think, given 2 years or whatever, he would have been out of the He was given 2 months. If he was given 3 months. 3 months, yeah. He would have been out of the electoral list, and he wouldn't have been. He wouldn't have qualified.
But people are even saying, as we speak, right? If Mambanya appeals and it goes to the appeals court. And they added to 3 months, he can still
be eliminated.
So nobody knows what is going to happen. A lot of people, even the Sonko people, are saying, let's not celebrate, because we have 10 months to election. You don't know what Macky has under his sleeve, because he's going to do everything possible to eliminate Sonko from the electoral list.
Yeah, I think that, and it's bad for our democracy as a continent. We're talking about moving from, democratic restoration to consolidation. And consolidation, Senegal, by the way, I mean, scholars have even acknowledged Senegal to have at least met one criteria of moving towards democratic consolidation. That is 2 turnover of government. When Samuel Huntington talked about 2 turnover of government, what do? You change a government by the ballot in 2 instances. We saw Abdou Diouf, left power through the ballot, replaced by Abdoulaye Wade. Macky Sall replaced Abdoulaye Wade as well. So the same thing, like what Gambia, for example, if today we're able to replace Adama Barrow through the ballot box. I'm not saying we replace before his people think that I'm calling for that. But if we're able, because we had a change of government in 2016, if we have another change of government, then scholars will turn to say that we have met that criteria of 2 turnover of government. And that's what happened in Senegal. So that was a good sign. Now, for Senegalese democracy to be consolidated, one, it needs to resist reverse into autocracy, that there must be that maximum level of political liberalism. Not only is it about elections, like we said, democracy is not only about elections being conducted, but it's also about post-election follow-up. What happened to political liberalism? Because sometimes countries can be democratic. Scholars have also talked about it. You can have a country that has democracy in the name of elections. They go to elections regularly, but then there is no political freedom. And that questions the democracy of that country. Democracy is just beyond elections. So what Macky is doing, just like what Yahya Jammeh did in the Gambia, when you question Gambia's democracy, you will say, then we have democracy in the Gambia because we are going to depose. But what happens to political freedom? So what happened in the Gambia, like we discussed the other time with the two gentlemen here, what happened in the Gambia is just like a replica of what is happening in Senegal. Like Senegalese democracy right now, one can safely say, is in danger. It's in danger in the sense that, there is no level playing field for all political players, especially the main opposition that could easily unseat the incumbent.
And what the main thing, bringing to Gambian context, what we were talking about was how the institutions were used, the army, the judiciary.
The same thing happening in Senegal.
That is what is happening. Like, yesterday, the army, the Macky Sall changed the head of the army about 2 weeks ago, and brought in a new person. And a lot of people believe this is somebody very loyal to him. And last week, what we saw, this week, the army, 2 days ago, the army chief of the army came in to talk about this particular, if anybody wants to burn this country, we will burn you, and all of this stuff, the army. And people like, well, wow, this has never happened in Senegal, for the army to even get itself involved. And then, later in the evening, the procurator, the state prosecutor himself, never heard of in Senegal, came out to talk about this incident, this Sonko incident. Went to the extent of talking about Sonko's medical record, and they arrested the doctor that was treating him. They wrote to the hospital to demand for his medical record, and the hospital refused. And the procurator came out speaking about this, and people are saying, no, this is serious. Now, using the institutions that we believe,
the weaponization of law,
and bringing these people to come and talk about a state case, a simple human citizen taking another citizen to court, and then you can bring all the state machinery.
When you look at the whole situation, just like I said, the weaponization of law, and Jammeh did in this country, Macky is also, I think whether he's learning or he has learned from that, and it's the same thing that is happening. And it's so ironical when this man in 2016, 2017, or even before that, was talking about, even though he might not do this openly, but talking about right violations in the Gambia.
But even himself, these were the things Macky was doing to apply what? Macky called for civil disobedience. Macky went to the street and rioted. That's what
I'm saying. Talking about Jammeh, like what Jammeh was doing in the Gambia, he's replicating the same things in Senegal.
Exactly.
And unfortunately, what scholars also called, police state, for example, or political soldiers, what we call political soldiers. And that is what most African leaders will do at this stage. When they realize, the funny thing about most African leaders is that if you follow African politics, even after independence, and the same thing happened even in Zimbabwe under Mugabe, initially when they come, they will allow political liberalism. They will allow free media. They will allow dissenting opinions. Then they welcome you to the stage where they feel like, and they always use this as an excuse, that look, democracy does not mean free speech, whatever you want to say. So they try to create a situation where there are people that will be, even among the civilians, even in the Gambia, it's happening here. Sometimes people will say, when we say democracy, Gambians are abusing it. And the state will come and say, they're abusing democracy. They're saying, no, these are tactics that they want to use to silence people. Now, I give a typical example. When Sabali made that statement, for example, you arrested him. What was wrong in that statement? You have people in some corners who will say, democracy is not about saying whatever you like to say. Sometimes people go beyond the line. People insult the president. What do you mean by insult? What is the definition, the legal definition of insult? Do you understand? So these are tactics that are used by politicians initially when they come. And even Jammeh, well, except from the November 11 killings and all that. But at some point, Gambians had that, within that short period, we had that modicum of, he can attest to that. At least we had that modicum of freedom a bit compared to, but as he was moving, He was suppressing, oppressing, and repressing Gambians. The same thing happened when Macky came. The same thing, even Mugabe, when he came initially, he allowed that political freedom. He allowed free media. But he was moving, he was trying to now use repressive measures. The same thing happened in many African countries. Yahya Jammeh came, he used the same tactics. Macky Sall came the same time. And Barrow is also using the same tactics. When he came in 2017, we all know the records, right? How they were. But down the line, prior to the 2021 election, he was even saying that I'm going to ban political activities after the December election.
And I think,
then you see the tactic that they try to use, and what we call, like I said, what they create political soldiers. They personalize and politicize the security sector. That the members of the security sector owe unquestionable loyalty to them. This is what Yahya Jammeh did in the Gambia. This is what exactly Macky Sall is doing in the Gambia. That is why, like, it's similar. When people are out to protest in the streets in the Gambia, the PRU will come after them. When people are out in the streets in Senegal to protest, Macky's people will come after them. And he is using just members of the security sector. And that's what we call not only the weaponization of the law that they use as in institutions, the judiciary and all that, but also the creation of what they call political soldiers, and even, creating the so-called police state in extreme cases.
Well, I was just going to say the push factor again for that is greed.
Okay.
It's greed because
stay in power. When you stay long in power, you just
greed.
But how can like, for example, the Bissau president is the head of ECOWAS. Yes, we all know. How can he say anything to Macky Sall that Macky don't want to hear?
Nothing.
Like, do you expect that guy to?
That's geopolitics too.
That's okay. Do you expect that guy, considering this Guinea's situation and how Senegal has stood up as the big brother role for them, the way we even consider him in Gambia, how do you expect that guy to say anything to Macky Sall that he doesn't want to hear?
That's geopolitics.
Anyway. Absolutely, you're absolutely right. and the guy, as far as international politics is concerned, I think he's a novice. Barrow of Guinea-Bissau is a novice. I don't think really he has that charisma to spearhead that kind of thing. But I think ECOWAS as an institution should be able to, because like you could be the president of ECOWAS, but your technocrats should be people who are experts in the areas that could push, and then action can be taken.
There's a power imbalance, especially if you look at the context of this and even the Casamance conflict. You look at Gambia as an actor, you look at Guinea-Bissau as an actor. We all know how Guinea-Bissau was able to fare in this whole conflict situation from the time of Vera de Ansoumana Mane's coming to now. What Guinea-Bissau won, of course, while Senegal minded Guinea-Bissau in the Casamance conflict, bringing lasting peace and stability, but also Guinea-Bissau would need Senegal in ensuring that the conflict does not escalate, the conflict does not affect Guinea-Bissau to that extent. But like you said, what will Mbalo tell Macky that definitely? But anyway, it's all about.
And finally, in the Senegal issue, before I move to the direction, there's this particular direction that the procureur yesterday, when he made a statement, he spoke about the Sonko bringing rebels into their manifestation, and talking about how rebels have injected into Senegal, Sonko's camp, and they were at the manifestation. He started calling names, and Sonko that night came out and said, "Look, this is it. This is the plan." All they do is they talk about my tribesmen. When they talk about rebels, the only people they call is the Jolas or the people that are from Casamance and others. And now that angle that this whole thing is taking is becoming scary. Gambia is very much interested in Senegal, in Casamance being stable for our own interest. But now, if this is the angle, Sonko and his team are believing, they're targeting my people. In fact, the rebel group did grant an interview to Pap Ali yesterday that was supposed to be aired, but he's under judicial control. His lawyers advised him not to air that interview. But they have reacted to that. Now, if that is going, the certain tribe, the Jolas and the Mandinkas in Casamance, believe that they are targeting them because obviously Sonko is from the same region. And Sonko was saying, people manifest in Dakar, people manifest in Mbake and others. They don't kill them, but they kill people from Ziguinchor and Bignona because of a certain reason. the way, the dimension this whole thing is taking,
It's scary.
it's getting scary.
It's scary.
And I think it needs to be properly addressed. I mean, Macky Sall should address this properly. But we will monitor the Senegalese situation, and next week when we come, we will inform us.
We wish them good luck, but...
Yeah, and we wish ourselves, because they are neighbors. But let's talk about what is happening at the National Assembly. The anti-corruption bill. You know, what is the status of that bill right now? We know that other bills have been passed, 3 other bills, will come to that. But what is the status of the anti-corruption bill as we speak, Honorable?
Honestly speaking, Fatou, I would express my disappointment that the anti-corruption bill could not, we couldn't go through it at the committee stage. Because that was the only thing that could have moved the anti-corruption bill to the final one. If the committee of the whole house were able to complete their scrutiny clause by clause, then it can move to the third reading, which normally, according to law, once the whole house is done with their scrutiny, it should take 3 clear working days for it to be scheduled for a third reading. And the third reading is just the completion of it. When it is read third time, the bill is done as far as the work of the National Assembly members are concerned, then it will be sent to the President for ascension. Unfortunately, this bill was put on the other paper, that is on our agenda. Let me come to the general terms. It was put on the agenda on the 23rd. This was a Friday, I think it's 23rd, it was on a Monday. And then it was put on the as the last point of agenda. And obviously, the Committee of Whole House takes a longer period because you go clause by clause, and there's a lot of debate in trying to change certain clause, because that is the final stage of the scrutiny on the bill. So when it is put on the last agenda of the day, the chances are you cannot exhaust it. It will be time for clause. So in the Ramadan, we sit up to 5 o'clock, and then we stop. In normal days, we can sit beyond 6. We sit up to 6 o'clock, but then when we have business, sometimes we can move a motion to say we sit beyond 6 to complete business. That can take us to the next day. We've done that several times. But during Ramadan, we solved that, we close at 5. And so when it is put at that last point of the agenda, it's disadvantage. So we started on it, I think, few clauses. Then it was time, so it was suspended. No, in fact, the first one was. The first is yes, you are right. It's not that.
2 versions. What?
3 versions.
3 versions that came. And
2.
2. What happened there?
What had happened there was, if you look at the colors, there is one with pink, there's one with blue, light green or blue. So what had happened was the one with pink color was the original draft that was sent to the Parliament. And usually when it comes to the Parliament, the committee will refer it to the ABC, that is the Assembly Business Committee, to send it to a relevant committee to do the scrutiny. So the committee, that is the FPAC, did their work on that pink color. But usually the comments and recommendations are not fused in. It will come as a report separately to the Parliament. So on the day of the Committee of Whole House, the committee will lead the members of Parliament through the original text that is sent. So what had happened was when they were done with that, that report was sent to the ministry, and the ministry infused the comments into the pink color. And technically we cannot treat that because we have not approved their work. So they printed another one, say because this is clean, that was the pink one. So that is the reason of the 2 versions. So you could have resolved that on the floor of the Parliament, but because there are misunderstandings, the Speaker felt it's necessary to ask the Minister to go and bring the original one, make into enough copies so that incoming members of Parliament also could have their copies. That was the first setback of the anti-corruption bill. Then the next day when it was scheduled, it was put on the last. It was the last agenda on the program. So we started it, we couldn't finish it. So the third one was I think 2 days ago. Again, last. So that is very unfortunate, and that's why I said I'm disappointed, because it could have been the first agenda of the day. Yeah. Then by the time we start 10 a.m., before we get to 5 p.m., we would have finished the committee stage. And then there would have been a possibility of the bill going for a third reading before the end of session. And the session ends today. So right now, as we speak, the anti-corruption bill the consultation stage is suspended. So it is not completed, and it cannot go to the third reading. When the parliament sits in our next session, which will be in June, that will be time that the committee stage will continue. And when it is done, then it will be scheduled for a third reading. That will close the chapter as far as the corruption bill is concerned.
Yeah, but I mean, I came across the report, the anti-corruption bill report. I mean, was that the report of the committee stage on constitutional matters?
No, the anti-corruption bill is not before the Human Rights Committee. It's before the FPAC.
It's before the FPAC. Okay,
Finance and Public.
Sorry for missing that. Okay, so but I mean, I saw that report and I was like, was this report, because there are recommendations?
Yes.
And I came across that report. You have recommendations even for, well, a lot of things there. But I mean, did that report come out prior to because they're saying 2 versions? What I saw in the, I mean, I think in the news, I think if I'm not mistaken, I saw like they said 3 versions, 2019, 2020, 2022. Yeah, but even if it is 2 versions, what happened? Did the 2 versions, when these people were doing their report, the FPAC, when they were making their reports and all that, didn't they notice that there were 2 versions? And if they noticed that, the recommendations or the report that has been prepared, the recommendations from that report, was it based on the 2019 version or it's based on the 2020 version? That is something that was confusing to me.
The 2019 version is the original.
Okay.
So all recommendations should be based on that.
Okay.
So the recommendations on the 2019 version was the product of the 2020 version. That is what brought the confusions. Some incoming members said, which one are we going to use? Because they've seen the 2019, they've seen the 2020. And it's the 2020 that was lately circulated among members. So people like us, we don't have a problem, because we know this 2020 is the product of the 2019.
Okay.
So when that confusion came, the speaker feels the only way to settle it is to ask the minister to come back with 1 copy, make it into enough copies so that each can have it. And that was done immediately by I think the next day the minister did that.
The minister did that? Okay, that's fine. I thought maybe that is not done, because then I was going to
it was done.
When was the minister, when the 2019 version, he came to Parliament.
The next day he brought it, because it's a matter of running it.
2020 version, but that's really something. So, yeah.
The reason is, for me, that is what is very unfortunate, is placing the continuation on the last program of the agenda. If you have agenda A, B, C, D, or 1, 2, 3, 4, you suspended this sitting yesterday. So the next program, that one should have been agenda 1, then 2, 3, 4.
Honorable, people say this a lot, that this government, there is no political will on the side of the executive, and even, of course, some parliamentarians to have this anti-corruption bill passed into law. I mean, as a parliamentarian, you've been there for the past 6 years, 7 years. Do you think all these are delay tactics on the part of the executive or some parliamentarians that don't want this passed?
To be honest with you, I am worried.
You think it's a delay tactic not to have this passed?
Why are you
yes,
worried?
I am worried as to the delay of the anti-corruption bill. This bill could have, I have said it in interviews with confidence, that come end of this session, this thing will be done. And there are no reason why it could not have been done. Committee stage goes stage by stage. The legal mutual assistance bill is much bulkier than the anti-corruption bill. We've dealt with it.
The corruption bill is 54 pages.
We've dealt with that.
Not much.
We've dealt with and done.
So why is all this delay here and there, and why putting it at the last program of the day?
Even the
so I am
the electoral act is
I am even
the electoral act that was revealed. It's not yet passed into law, but the electoral
the election bill.
Yeah, the election bill.
Yeah, the election bill actually that is under my committee. Yeah, the reason why we served that for June, the reasons are we're just going into local government election, and our attention was drawn to dealing with laws, electoral laws, when there are elections just next. So we decided to serve that for June, but like the committee sessions are starting on Monday. You know, when we finish the main session, the committee session starts.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. So it's even bulkier than the anti-corruption.
Yes,
bill is just
it's not bulky. It's just as thick as this. Not very tiny sort of thing which we could have dealt with. Honestly, I do.
Why do you think it's taking this long? Do you think there's no will from your colleagues to get it done as soon as possible? Why?
Well, I know on the side of the NPP, I have had a lot of comments on the corridor. That's why I said I'm worried. But it will be passed, because this is not asking for a specific percentage of.
Oh, this is simple majority.
Yeah, when you go to at where it is now, it is not calling for any 3/4.
Okay.
At committee stage, you treat them clause by clause. If you said this should be there, we said this should not be there, then that's what we'll go in for voting. But for the bill itself, I'm definitely so. The tactics will be played, but it will finally get there. Because it is moving, it cannot stop until it gets to the third reading. Nothing can stop it. Nothing can kill it as it is.
In the corridors,
what I'm hearing from the corridors is on the side of the NPP, some of them are saying, well, this is against our tradition. What kind of tradition? Say, well, even if you give somebody does something for you, give him a tip, you could betray.
How is that against tradition?
I don't know, but the belief is that traditionally you come to my function, like, okay, take this 20 as fares, things like that, gift. They're saying that the anti-corruption bill is criminalizing those kind of acts. These are the kind of things which really does not hold water at all. The bill is far from that.
I think there are more important issues.
Far from that. Far from that. Gifts? No. These are some of things that I'm worried about, because it will be passed, but some of the clauses might be watered down to nothing.
Oh.
That is my worry, because those are going to be based on simple majority. Where we stopped, we went to clause 8, and then there is this proposal from the other side that we should insert a clause that would say that this bill would come only into effect from the day of its inception. It cannot go back. So we had a pull and push. We don't need it there, we need it there. But the NPP camp are saying that we should have that there. I said, who are you protecting then?
Oh, so they don't want it to be a how do you say it?
Retroactive.
Retroactive. They wanted to start effective the day it was.
But then the minister had made that very clear, making reference to the constitution, that the Parliament cannot make any law that is retroactive.
Yeah.
So for him, whether it's there or not, it doesn't matter.
But they
want it there. I said, then you have a reason. Why are you putting there? Are you protecting some person?
Why are you putting what?
The clause to say that the bill, when it comes to effect, cannot look back. But the minister, that pull and push, for me, it's not. Then the minister said, well, whether this clause is there or not, the constitution is saying that you cannot come up with a law that is retroactive. So I said, then let's go, since that is the case. It's obvious.
But then again, even with or without the anti-corruption bill or law in place, let me put it that way.
Yes.
With or without the anti-corruption law, people can be prosecuted.
Of course, yes.
for corrupt practice.
And the minister said that very clearly, that so even without that, we have adequate laws to prosecute people.
To prosecute people. People have been prosecuted.
The difference...
Our problem is not about laws, it's enforcement.
But that's what we are saying, brother. That's why I'm saying that with or without the anti-corruption law, people can be prosecuted.
For
because we have
corrupt
laws
practice,
and that is why I'm always saying, this is my point here. Maybe you want to come in before I get to that.
No, go on.
Yeah, my point here is that I've said this repeatedly. Having the anti-corruption law is a good step. Is one thing, but it's not only. It's a necessary condition, but not sufficient. Okay, in addressing corruption, you can have the laws. We know the laws exist in this country. We're talking about even contracts, public finance law being violated by the office of the president in most of these contracts that we talk about, the security report and all that. Not there are laws in place, but still actors will violate these laws.
No, but this will be a different thing.
No,
the anti-corruption bill will be a different thing. It will just be like the Human Rights Commission. This is going to be an independent body.
Anti-corruption commission, yeah.
Yes, it's going to be an independent body. The positions there will be secured. So if you are a commissioner in that commission, chairperson, you have your job secured. And when people's jobs are secured, they will do the justice.
Who in the bill, who hires these commissions?
Oh, well, in consultation.
It's there, but in consultations and
the president,
subject to approval.
It's going to be approved
and subject to approval.
Yeah.
It's still on the stage. You know, we are still at
but even, let me go.
It's not a law yet.
The approval,
not a law yet.
Let me say, I'm just saying, you know, National Assembly, if the president appoints ESA as the commissioner and then approved by National Assembly, what percentage of the National Assembly gives this approval? Because if it is just simple majority, or let's say simple majority, you know, if the president approves somebody who you and I don't like or don't believe, if it goes and the president has the numbers, it's going to go through. So what you are still scared of, what percentage of the National Assembly will give that approval also matters. That way, you can say the integrity. For example, if it is a 75%, that way, it's above the numbers that the president has. You must have the other party also ascending to it, agreeing to that. And that means that person is a person of high.
Well, that's a good observation. That's a good observation. But I can tell.
Have we passed here that are just simple majority?
But that's a good observation. But I can tell you, with this simple majority thing, we have had issues where President Barrow brought people in the parliament and they are rejected.
Ombudsman. The ombudsman.
They are rejected. They are rejected. Yes. Yes. It can even happen. It can even happen in the 6th legislature because you see, we have certain people in the parliament. Some of them are very independent in the way they think. But even the very clause that I talked about, when we did our voting, I have seen people in the camp who voted with us.
Which camp?
The NPP camp. So no, that's right. It's better to make it clear. So sometimes you cannot determine and we have instances also where that was on the Local Government Act. And when we could not agree, we were put to vote. Almost 3/4 of them joined us to vote vote in for a particular point. Even the majority leader turned and they was trying to talk. And then I've seen a member of parliament in Dakar tell him, get out. So it's, yes, on some issues they can connive. But honestly, if any appointment is subject to the approval of the parliament, the president will be very careful in selecting. And also what we are saying is, you don't give us one person. If, for example, we want 2 people to be appointed, give us 6. The president can nominate 6. And then that will be subject to the approval of the parliament.
I came across in the report, no, not in the report, the bill itself. I think clause 23 talked about conflict of interest, where, like, for example, be the managing director, an individual, a public official, of course, being related or connected to a business where there is conflict of interest, tendency of conflict of interest. I think that's something that the anti-corruption bill is also trying to address. But I'm just worried because I think there is an issue. Like, you can have the president, for example, being associated with business. It might not be on the open, but it's associated with
I hope you are not mixing the SOE bill.
No.
And the anti-corruption bill.
No.
Okay.
I saw the anti-corruption bill. That's what I'm reading. It's I think it's section or clause 23. If you can confirm clause 23, conflict of interest.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, because I saw that one together with the report as well.
So what would be the conflict of interest?
Yeah, I think it's a bit broad. It has subsection 1, 2, 3, whatever. I can't remember everything, but I think it's what I'm trying to say, broadly, generally is, I think that is very good. To address something like that when there is tendency of conflict of interest between public officials holding public office and being associated with a particular business, because at some point this is where the issue of awarding contracts come into play.
Yeah.
Okay, where there can be conflict of interest. Someone, a public official who is in charge of awarding a contract, being associated or connected with a business or an entity, a business entity per se, and obviously that can always lead to awarding contracts on dubiously.
Sure.
And of course, I think that is something that the anti-corruption bill will have to look at. But I'm just when it comes to these things, most of the time people, especially politicians, of course, in parliament, might think that, well, is this a target against a particular individual? Say the person of the president or somebody so influential in the country, and they can try to see how to, because like you said, sometimes they try to get a particular word or phrase in a clause. They may want to have a problem with that, but for them it might be a target against some people.
Exactly.
Just like you said, when they say, for example, our tradition, somebody comes to you and give you this, and it's a tradition, because they know that even they themselves might be guilty of such. Certain individuals might be guilty of such, and you want to press charges against those people. It can be. But then one thing that I wanted to ask is, I know this is a matter of law, but I don't know whether you have an idea. We know that yes, parliamentarians also have that immunity, whatever. But of course, there are instances where, when you violate law, you have to face the full force of the law.
Sure.
I don't know how protected parliamentarians are. Not only in the context of the anti-corruption, but generally, how are you people protected when certain, laws are violated, whether you can be, charges can be pressed, you prosecuted or whatever.
Oh, yes.
In what circumstances?
Oh, yes. You see, our immunity is very limited.
Yeah.
When I am going to the parliament, parliamentary work, you cannot arrest me.
Yes.
And you can also come in the parliament and arrest me.
Yeah.
If I leave parliament, I'm going home, you cannot arrest me. But once I get home now, you can come and arrest me. So our immunity is limited. In fact, I remember in the 5th legislature, some members are pushing for an unlimited immunity. For me, I say, no, I cannot agree to that. Let's be protected when we are going to work and going back, and during work.
Yeah, during work.
Yeah, then after that, you commit a crime, the law should take it. So our immunity is limited. It's only when you are going to work. For example, you are going to work and there is something against you, the police cannot stop you. They will allow you to go to work.
Yeah. Now, coming back to the still anti-corruption, now you said today is the final day of your session.
For this session.
So meaning the anti-corruption bill will be brought back in June.
Yes.
Because
we meet quarterly.
You meet quarterly. And in June, what next stage is it going to be?
No, it's a continuation. We've stopped at, I think we've almost about to finish part 2. So we did part 1 and almost part 2. So when we resume in our June session, we'll start from where we stop at the committee of whole and go.
Yeah, these things take time.
Be
it takes time anyway, because I know it's always debate. Somebody will raise these issues to the extent that you have to have a tie. You go for go for vote.
Usually, with experience with all these four bills that we have passed, the mutual, the torture bill, the local government amendment, and we did 4 during this sitting at committee stage. However bulky it is, it can take us a whole day, but not 2 days. For the first time in my 6 or 7 years in parliament, that a bill has taken us more than 3 sittings and it is suspended. So usually, however bulky it is work to finish. Because it's the committee stage. You go clause by clause. That's what. Yes, there are arguments here and there. Certain clauses we can debate over it for quite a while. Yeah. But again, it depends on the chairperson, because at that level, the speaker is not a speaker, is a chair of the committee. So what he can do is, when the debate is on, give priority to everybody to say your version as to why you think this should be there or why it should not be there. When that is exhausted, he will just say, well, we have to put it to vote because we need to continue.
Yeah. Hopefully the next session it passes.
I hope so.
I
hope so. In fact, I'm optimistic it will pass. My only fear is watering. No, the timing is fine. It's going to be fine. But my fear is watering it down to zero.
Oh.
That's my fear.
The powers of the commission. The powers of the bill.
Well, the bill itself. The bill itself.
The strength of the bill.
Yeah, because certain things should be there.
Certain things should be
like the commissioners, who should nominate them, who should appoint them, what kind of calibers should they be, and their job.
Yeah, security, job security.
Yeah, the whistleblowers, the investigators. All these things have to be factored in, because
the whistleblower, protection of whistleblowers.
Yeah, it's already there. It's already there.
Yeah,
so the commission, if this anti-corruption bill comes into full-fledged law, it will complement the existing laws that we can use to try corrupt practices. Because this one has a little bit advantage over that, because that one is just the law there. So unless somebody is brought to court, the court will not go after you. If you commit a crime and the matter is not before the court will never follow you.
Yeah, but the commission.
But for this, they follow you. They have investigators. Their eyes are open, their ears are open. You can give them information and you will be protected. And they act on the information to the root of the case. So it will really help to minimize the level of corruption in the country.
I was going to ask what powers you have or what you've been doing, in the wake of all the, reports from the National Audit Office about all these corruption allegations. Whether at some point, I know relevant ministers will come sometimes to answer certain questions, but whether at some point you summon the executive, well, it might not be the president, it might be the vice president, whoever is responsible, especially, in the context of the report, something that is of interest to the people, where you summon these people to come and explain certain things, regarding those reports. Because what we've seen is that it seems like the the National Audit Office report has also been politicized to some extent. What I mean by politicization of the report, not actually the report itself, but the way it is seen, the lens that is being used by politicians to view it, especially from the side of the presidency. Of course, we've seen how we've had the president calling it a mere opinion. We've had, of course, even the
cyber
advisor calling it a half big, whatever. And a lot of people, of course, using political lens to view this. So the report has been politicized in their view and all that. And people at some point get worried, because sometimes you get so mad about these whole things, all that is happening, and it seems like the report will be out. And people just talk about this. Nobody's able to do this. The former auditor sat here with Fatou and said some of the issues in the reports are clear theft cases. The Banjul project, a scam. The security report, a scam. All these things are captured in the report. And it seems like people are helpless, they are hopeless. And the only people they can turn to, because when they look at civil society, they said, oh, not those ones. Government, not those ones. Political parties, not those ones. But parliamentarians could help us in this. What is the job of the parliament? Like, what are you doing? What I mean by what is your job? What exactly are you doing to make sure that you constantly hold the government to account about these things? Because people are worried. The only thing they can do is to complain about it. At the end of the day, they cannot do anything about it. What are you doing as parliamentarians?
The law and our standing order really gives us those powers. When let's limit it to the Auditor General's report. After he's done his report and submit to government and parliament, by law, by constitution, he should submit to parliament. The copies are sealed, and then the report is given to the Finance Committee, FPAC Committee, Finance and Public Accounts Committee, and they will go through it and come back to plenary with their recommendations. Their recommendations does not stand until when it comes back to us, because we are the people who said, go and do this. So they report back to the plenary, the whole house.
And when their report is endorsed, then Section 100 of our Constitution, our standing order, now make it compulsory on the ministry or whoever that thing affects, every ministry that it falls on. And I'm sure in the case of the Auditor General's report on government accounts would be the Finance Minister, must be compelled to come to the Parliament and respond to all the queries that are made in that report and the recommendations. Just like what had happened in the case of the IRK. When the committee assigned the health to do their work, they did their work, bring their recommendation to the Parliament, and it was approved by the plenary. Then the minister had to come back and respond to each of the issues raised there. So that is the same way that this audit report also will be treated. As we are speaking now, the committee is on it. Now the session ends today, and Monday we continue with our committee work. So hopefully by June, that is the next meeting of the Parliament, that committee should be done with the Auditor General's report. Then it will be tabled in the Parliament.
So what you are saying is this. For example, let's say look at the local government reports. The National Assembly have not stamped the report or given any recommendations, right?
Not yet.
It's just what the auditors have given you guys and they're looking at it.
Yes.
Okay.
So that is why, well, the president has powers to set up commissions of inquiries. But if I were the president, I would have waited for the FPAC to finish their work, because all local governments also send their reports to FPAC, just like the auditor will send their. So they look at it and they will come out with a report. And the committee that comprises the FPAC committee is a composition of all parties. Every committee in the Parliament, the constitutions are given to representation, so that you don't have to have only the NPP dominate this particular committee. No, it's balanced there. You cannot also have UDP. So if I were him, we would allow the committee to finish their report, submit. If he is not satisfied, he can set up a presidency. But it's not bad if he sets a commission. But the report is not yet before the Parliament. But the committee is working on it.
Something is of interest to me, still in that report. It has to do with the timber issue, the timber trade issue. Of course, the Ministry of when you read the report, you realize that I think the government was supposed to collect, because there are two private entities that are put in charge of collecting that revenue on behalf of the government or the state. And, they were to collect, I think, $30,000 per container. And altogether, I think, if I'm not mistaken, around 800 million euros or something like that. In euros, anyway, millions of euros. But reading the report, the audit report is telling you that the Ministry of, there is no evidence. They could not come across any evidence of the bank details being provided where this money used to be deposited. And so they cannot tell whether that money was even deposited there or not. So I was thinking the Minister of, is it Environment and Forestry, whatever you call it? Whether at some point, is it a he or she? I don't even know whether it's a he or she.
Environment.
Yeah.
It's a woman now.
It's a woman now.
I think the Manjang, is it Manjang?
Yes. It's a woman now.
Whether she was at any point someone in Parliament to explain this, because it's something that worries a lot of people out there.
She could be summoned, but would not be summoned by the plenary. Maybe it's the committee that is looking at the report, because when the committee are looking at reports, they summon all relevant people, whether you are a minister or director or whatever, because anybody can speak at committee level, whereas in the plenary it's only the ministers that can talk. So I'm quite sure they would have really called her. So, but all that would only be get to our knowledge when they are done with their report and submit to the plenary, which will also be in the public domain, because the chairpersons of the committees will read their reports publicly. And
former Minister of Finance, a member of your party, once called for the president's impeachment. Do you think there are any genuine grounds for President Barrow to be impeached, like parliamentarians to push that motion for impeaching President Barrow?
Well, if the president blatantly violates the constitution, that's a ground for impeachment. But impeachment also has process. I think, I'm sure President Barrow, there are all reasons that the parliament can move a motion to impeach him, because there has been a lot of that kind of violations of the constitution. But the issue is a process. You can carry on. When we get the 3/4 to say yes, he will not immediately step down. Then the speaker will just write to the IEC to say that, well, the president has been impeached and the motion was carried. And then the IEC chairperson will call for a referendum for the general public to endorse what the parliament does. So sometimes you can lose it, but even if you lost it at any stage, if you lost it at any stage, it's a warning for the president.
Yeah. Now let's go back to the other bills. I know there were other 2 bills because I have only 20 minutes to go. You have a 5 appointment. It's already
5 o'clock.
above that. So
it's after 5.
It's a little after 5. So I'll give you 10 minutes.
Wow, you're 25 after 5.
I know. Give me 10 minutes. Just 10 minutes. So there was the torture bill and the local government. I'm interested in the local government bill. What specifically did it address?
You know, the local government bill amendment was a private member's bill, and it was spearheaded by Honorable Alaji S. Dabo.
It was a private member bill?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
It was Honorable Alaji S. Dabo of Brikama North, who is also the minority leader of the parliament, who really worked on that private member's bill. But the private member's bill, you know, sometimes it takes time to work on it.
Yeah.
So he really worked on it hard. But at one point in time, the Supreme Court judgment came in.
Yeah.
But the purpose, the objective is to secure the elected persons, that if a chairperson is elected for 4 years, it's not correct to get that person out of his office before his mandate concludes.
Yeah.
And bring in others to step in. So it was out to address that, so that they should be left there until a new chairperson comes in. You hand over to your successor.
Yeah.
So those are some of the things that it tries to address, and also it also tries to address the independence of elected councillors as well. So there are some issues of that, but then that is why it wasn't tough when the bill was tabled, because the other side cannot oppose it, because already the Supreme Court, the Supreme Court judge has had to make their ruling that it is against the Constitution. So I don't think any crazy MP can go against that. But actually, it was mainly to address that kind of issues. Yes.
What about the torture bill?
The torture bill, you know, we do not have torture laws in our books of laws. So if the police tortured you, it cannot be tried in the Gambia, because they will have no law to bank on too. So that's why the torture bill comes into play, and I think that also is very progressive. And even the past 22 years that we've gone through a lot of horrible things in the hands of Jammeh, the torture bill, if you don't have them, they cannot try them unless what the government is trying to do, you bring in a hybrid court to take cases of tortures and things like that. But now that it is going to be incorporated in our laws, it will help a lot. If a policeman slaps you, well, you can sue him to court. But we know tortures most of the time are the state that tortures people. The state agents, the police, the army, the soldiers, the security people, they will try to force information from you by way of inflicting pain on you, either beating you with electrical shocks and things like that. So that is what the torture bill has come to address, and it's a very progressive law.
I think that's progressive, even internationally. It's in line with our obligations.
It's very progressive.
In line with the Convention Against Torture.
And what I like most in the torture bill is Section 24, which says that once you are accused of torture, there can be no amnesty for you.
Yeah, because
the trial must be completed. So the president cannot just get on and say, okay, Madi is accused of torturing X. In the middle of the case, the president, I've given Madi amnesty.
By the way, it's part of crimes against humanity. So, you know, that's a crime of international character.
It's a very progressive law.
So definitely you can, and I think I really like the torture bill. It will also, it's in fulfillment of our international obligation in line with the Convention Against Torture. Domestication of the law. I mean, that's really, as a common law country. That's it.
So all these 4 bills are now laws. The torture bill, the local government act, the legal mutual assistance, and the other bill is what? There are 4 in number.
I think the last one is the...
4 of them, but they are progressive. You have all of them, I am sure.
Yes, I have it on my phone. I'm just trying to...
If I have just 1 minute to say this, like asking this.
Go ahead.
Yeah, just money before.
Fourth is the state enterprise.
Yes, yes,
that one. The state enterprise is there.
You know, that's a very good law as well.
What is that?
You know, the GPA, Gambia Post Authority, is a state enterprise.
Yes. Actually, okay, go ahead.
And then you have the Transport Corporation, all states-owned enterprise that are doing business.
Yeah.
So this law has a very good objective to protect them, to make them profitable, and even the setting up. It's really, maybe if I could just read the objective of it, but it's a very progressive law as well. So it's
there's a lot of the state enterprises.
Yeah, and they have to be making profit because they are using people's money to do business. So therefore, they have to be proper. They have to be. If you look at section 25, 26 is good, but I really want to look at. Okay, let's go to 26. The functions.
Yeah.
This. It says the functions of a state-owned enterprise are where it is established by statutes, those objects and functions set out in its statutes. As a public enterprise by incorporation order under Section 114 of the Public Enterprise Act, those objects and functions set out in the Commission may, with the approval of Cabinet, acquire state-owned enterprises to provide a public service that may not be in line with its financial objectives, provided that such public services falls within the mandate of the state-owned enterprise. Where the Commission requires the state-owned enterprise to provide a public service as provided in for Section 1, the Commission and the state-owned enterprise shall have a written memorandum. But really, if you look at the objective is really to make these public enterprises accountable. Yes, accountable to us, because it is people's money. Yeah. It's people's money.
These are taxpayers. They are companies. Yeah. Security and all this stuff.
Just one thing, I've always had this discussion with people. And the other time when you came here, I think you talked about it, that you have an interest in pushing for that bill. I guess it has to do with this.
The rent
issue, really. I don't know how far you've gone with that, because it's a concern. I mean, just 2 days ago, I think I saw it on one social media house that, there's somebody, who is renting his house, very exorbitant price, 6 months payment and all that. Really, the poor, especially those without their own houses in this country, are really suffering, and the government, I don't know, it can't be the rent issue, but also housing. I don't think this government has any serious plan to address the issue of housing in this country. So rent is something that really needs to be addressed, but I always tell people that, well, if you have a president who has been into the business of renting, he wouldn't have any interest in making sure that addressing that, because that's what he knows, and that's the profit. That's how he get profit. So he will not have any interest in addressing that. But you as parliamentarians, especially you with an interest in that, rent is a big problem in this country. Now, some people are even asking you to pay 1 year before you can use their houses. So I don't know what really you are doing about that.
Well, it's in progress. The process in the parliament, if you are coming up with a private member's bill, you will write to the office of the clerk, and then we have a whole legal department that are there to assist you to have your bill. So I have submitted my letter and then the clauses that I want to change in the rent, because we have a rent act. But to address some of the current issues, I have indicated sections that I wanted to change, like 17, 18, and 19. And maybe during the process, I may come up with new clauses as well, just to secure both the tenant and the landlords. But I can tell you, or the viewers, to say this is a political campaign promise, which is within my remit. I can do it because we are lawmakers. As a private member, I said I will push the agenda, and I'm pushing the agenda now. It has gone to that level now. I'm sure in a couple of weeks' time, I will get the initial draft, and then it will be vetted. Hopefully, I think I should be able to present it in the June session.
Wow, interesting. That's amazing. Honorable Watu Bantale, finally, you cannot have a politician and talk about politics. I don't know whether I'll get you here before the local government elections. Your party presented 19 councillors in Serekunda. You are a lawmaker in Serekunda. What do you think? Are you going to maintain all your incumbents? Are you optimistic?
Certainly, we will maintain all our incumbents, and we will have additional members of councils in the KM. And I can assure you, for Serekunda West, I am quite positive that I have 5 councillors in my constituency, and that we will really win those 5 councillors.
One of your councillors told me this, that you're looking for 15 seats in KM. If you have that, Talib will be comfortable. Are you optimistic that because, like I said, the councillor election can have impact on the parliament,
But I cannot talk. I cannot speak for the other constituencies. But I know the 5 councillors that are in Serekunda West would win.
Mayoral election and chairpersons.
No, that's for certain. For KMC mayor, you know that I can speak for certain for my region, and leave the other region for other politicians, because that's where I'll do my campaigns. That's where I know very well.
The only one with 40 votes, margin of 40.
No, you know this is first past the post. Even if it's 1 vote,
so that's what you are
I'm proud.
Remember this was one person everybody said he was going to lose.
Even if I have 1,
and he told us he was
going to win. All my contenders with 1 vote. I'm the winner. Who else is the winner?
You are the winner.
Not much the honorable.
That's a lot.
Would 40 be counted now? I'm a full-fledged member of parliament.
You are the winner.
How many percent you said? 40?
40 votes.
I don't even know how much. I know I won.
He knows he's the winner.
So I don't mind whether it's 40 or 10 or 1. What is important is, in fact, it's even more painful when they defeat you with a
with 1 or 2. That is the most painful. Yes, that is very painful.
So, but really, politics is difficult to predict. Like I said on one of the platforms here, that you cannot take the presidential results and want to predict the...
you said that before the National Assembly, yes.
To predict the national elections. So I am not predicting this council result based on my victory. That's why I never mentioned that. But I'm saying I am optimistic that the 5 councillors we have, you know, the Kololi ward, I have no doubt, our candidate, nobody can win him there. That is Famara Fofana. If you go to Bakote, Lamin Jame is going to win.
Bakote, which... Okay, go ahead.
Lamin Jame is going to win in Bakote. Bamusa in Latikunda will win. And Dipakunda, the boy we have, Mohamed Drame, will win.
Dipakunda, I think, might be the challenge for you. They are relatives, right? The NPP candidate and your candidate.
Don't mind about that.
Yes.
There are more to that I cannot say here. But I know our candidate will win.
You think you will win?
Yeah, you know, they are all from the how they call it, the Chup Town.
Yes.
That's the section.
Yeah.
Yes, but this boy will win.
The drama there.
Manja Kotu, that's where we have another Lamin Jame, which also I can clearly say that, predict that he will win. Because
no alliance.
Well, what I know is I know the incumbent is contesting Tombo, so I don't know other candidates yet. But I think I saw Doy's this morning when I was going. I saw a card, postcard Doy's thing. I think Doy has candidate there.
They have a candidate even in Tipakunda.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking. So, in fact, like I always say, that helps us a lot.
If there are more candidates.
Let's have more contestants. We have consolidated what we have. We will cross.
So UDP is a party of if. If we have more independent candidates, we will win. If we don't...
No, it's me. It's me.
Parliamentary election
it's me that says that in my constituency.
But most UDP people, when you talk to them, they will say if you have more independent candidates, we have this.
Yes.
It's not like Manchester United that will say if they lose.
Because if you go to a particular constituency, you know that you have these particular numbers. And it's very rare for UDP militants to go and give vote against themselves. So if you have your vote, small it may be, right? You know you can consolidate that. The rest now you see whether you can get anything from there. If you have many more contesting for that, you'll definitely win.
Definitely. Like it happened in Tallinn in the parliament.
Thank you very much, Honorable. Thank you, Esa. Sunte watu manjang for back. Thank you very much for always honoring our invitation, even at the last minute. We appreciate it. And to you all watching, join us next week with another interesting interview. We will have the chairman of LRR, London Bisane. He is going to be our guest. We'll talk about the election. We'll talk about the commission and the politics in LRR. It's about time we bring the regional people also. Yeah. So London will be here.
You can get buses.
We will get 4-day also. London is coming next week. Hopefully, we will get 4-day also before the Ramadan ends. Good night to you all. See you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
yiriwa men kafutan na tarambuloluto nga GIA cargo complex parendile pour ka julaya sone yandi ka dungoni funti bundana doko sembentu ya Banjul International Airport oto men si nyafa si moluma mel ka fengolu ki bantala bankolu kan anin julandingolu fana faysi sulan na cargo doko le bang katu masingolu bem bulule ka fo meye forklifts mel ka selendiro nin jindiro ke bagasolu la mel be funti kan waranto ka dunnan na warehouse lu kono nga dinkira sumayari ngolu fana sotole ifula milla fano mu metar kemeleti karo bela adun isi cargo bagasolu tano men sita fo ton tan woro ila sumaya fana futata tembeleto men ka fendolu mabono fo ikana tinya fo sene fengol lombang domari fengolu waranto jata kende ani bori ma fengolu kago bagasolu la taradula kendo asulata jamani labang korosir langolu lela na double view x-ray korosir la masingolu aka kago bagaso kono jubele komi kago doko sartolu ya landi nyameng nyin double view x-ray amu jamani labang rapid scanaleti men ka karafula korosiro keno kago sifa bela wati kilngo kono to na doku lalo imu ayata karandingol leti la dokuo no iframansata kago dokuo na tamandiri nyato na dokuo la betea wayem futandi RA3 makamoleto men satin na fo nse kago bagasolu kinole kata UK aning EU bankolu kan GIA ka hakeli tenkungo dila na dokuo to ite nyina la men.
Every day is a new opportunity to make sure our first impressions are always our best and to see possibilities on the horizon, to make our facilities and services more accessible and find freedom all around us. With a location proximity to active markets, with a liberal air transportation policy, that daily pursuit is how we turn everyday opportunities for you. For all destination marketing support, customized packages for new existing airlines and operators, and for a highly ranked tourist destination, the Gambia Civil Aviation Authority is here to serve. We regulate air transport, operate and manage BIA technical requirements, merged with commercial considerations. We have experienced and well-trained aviation professionals to cater for your needs. For investment opportunities in building airport hotels, shopping malls, playground for children, do contact us on 4472-831, 4472-893. Gambia Civil Aviation Authority. We go beyond daily.